as I look at Jeremy's Twitter account, I see here his number one thing he puts on there is not his job title, but dad of two. And he's director of teaching and learning at the Newmark School of Journalism at CUNY, the J School there. Our friend Craig Newmark, who it's named after, who supports journalism in such a strong way, was a speaker at Social Media Weekend at CUNY Journalism School. In the past, he's been with Time Magazine. He's been an innovator, a leader who has taught me so much over the years. And I'm incredibly grateful for his friendship going back 20 years now. You're all in for a treat. Tweet the heck out of this, but also listen and pay attention. Everything is recorded. You'll be able to catch up later. Take it away at Jeremy Kaplan.
Thank you, Shay. That's very kind of you. You've been a great mentor to me. It's really an honor to be part of this this whole event today, which is really great. I've always enjoyed this weekend, and it's a pleasure to be here with so many of you again. I wish the circumstances were different, but I'm very excited to join all of you here today for Social Media Weekend. And I'm going to present 10 tools. I usually present 30 or 50 or some other random number, and I'm going to keep it to 10 because I think all of us are so overwhelmed with so much of what's happening these days. And I want to, let me just make sure my setup is good here. Okay, great. So as Sri mentioned, as we just discussed, I've been in isolation for a week, but fortunately now I'm back with my family today, and these are my daughters and my family out here on Long Island, which is nice and quiet. And I hope that many of you are able to spend some quality time this weekend with your loved ones as well. And I wish everyone lots of good health in this turbulent moment. I hope we don't have one of these moments. We might. I've got two daughters running around at the moment here, and I know many of you do as well. But I think we're all learning that it's okay to have our family and friends part of what we do these days. I want this to be an interactive session, so I've set up a Slido poll, a series of Slido polls, so you can interact. And the first question asks whether you have multiple devices at hand. So do you have a smartphone and a laptop, which I suspect many people have, or maybe some of you just have a smartphone or you just have a laptop. And this is a chance to warm up and get used to this tool. You can point your phone, you can take your phone out of your pocket, off the table, and point it at the screen, the QR code some of you have been using for other sessions so far. Or you can go to slido.com. You can type that into a browser on your laptop or your phone and use the event code Cool Tools, all one word. I see that 11 votes have already come in, so I know that's working. Now 14 and 17 and so forth. So let's look at the results here. And yes, most of you have both, so that's great. So I think this is going to work. You can juggle both devices and get involved here. Some sessions will be more lean back and listen to great people like Nick Kristof. Others like this one, I hope you'll actually get engaged with. So we've got 41 people, 42 people saying they're actually sitting with two devices. Now, it can be difficult to do two things at once, so I'll try to give you one thing to do at a time. But many of you I know are veteran multitaskers, so you'll manage. I'm going to move on to the next poll in a couple quick seconds. Last few people can chime in here in case anyone just has your phone or computer. This is 100%. This is a real power crowd here at Social Media Weekend with double devices. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. So the next one is more about how we're feeling today. We're going to be delving into some tools, but I think it's important that we have our full selves here, and I want to just get a feel for the room. And since I can't see you all in person, I want to just check in with you. This is a word poll, a cloud. It's going to be a word cloud, and so on your screen now you should see a word question. Basically, what's one word that describes how you're feeling today? Now, if you have more than one word in your head, you can enter it, press submit, and then enter another word. And on the screen here, you should see a lot of different words popping up. And the number one word as of now, with 25 people entering, is hopeful. That is really exciting and encouraging. And I do see tired is prominent as well. I see optimistic, pensive, energized, imaginative, feeling thankful. Anxious has grown up here as more people have answered. I can relate to that. I felt very anxious this week. I may not seem like it today, but it was a hard week, being alone and a little sick. I see people feeling worried, people feeling encouraged, and it's really great to see that a variety of feelings are on everyone's mind, but we're here today for one collective purpose, which is to learn, to share, to develop our skills, and to reach out and be part of our community, the Social Media Weekend community. So thanks everyone for being here. I'll wrap this up in just about 5 or 10 seconds. The last few of you can chime in. I'm excited that so many people are able to do this. 78, 80 people have entered their answers. So that means that it is working and you're learning a new tool. If you haven't used Slido before, I highly encourage you to use it in your meetings, in your conferences, in your classes, in your events. It's a really handy way to gather people's ideas and information and feelings. And you can use it for free, completely for free, if you have just 3 poll questions. If you have more, you can pay for a premium subscription. Wow, these just keep coming in. Encouraged is growing. Worried is a little bit more prominent. Anxious is a little bit more prominent. Connected, peaceful. This is really great material. So thank you all for sharing. Now, I want to join me in another interactive component today, which is a CODA document. Now, I know many people, if I were to ask you this, I'm not going to poll you on it, but I bet that many people have never used CODA because it's a pretty new tool. And I'm going to talk about it as the primary big tool I mentioned in a minute. But first, if you haven't used CODA, you may want to have a CODA account, and you can sign in with your Google account. So you don't have to do the whole registration process. Just go to bit.ly/getcoda, and it'll just ask you to log in, and you can log in or create an account, and you can just do that with your existing Google account. And then it stores things in your Google Drive, so it's nice and easy. It's free. You actually get I think you get a little credit for the premium program if you sign up. And it'll help us to add interaction to the next section if you can do this. So I'll give you another 10 or 15 seconds for those of you who want to do this now. You can come back and do it later if you want to. If you'd rather not do it for any reason, that's fine, move on, and you don't have to. But if you do it, you will be able to interact with the document and experiment with that. One other thing I want to say about the Slido, just since we brought that up, you'll see the cool tools hashtag on the side. That's the event code. There's also an opportunity for you to add to 2 other tabs on your Slido response page. So you see the live poll active, but you also see a tab up at the top that says Ideas, where you can add a tool that's useful for you at any time during today's presentation. And I'll try to mention those if I can at the end. Or you can ask a question, which is under the Audience Q&A tab. So there's 3 ways that you can interact with that Slido. And just wanted to mention that for those of you who are going to be using Slido for your own events or teams, and also so that you can use it today. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to join CODA if you want to, and to check out those Slido features. And the last kind of housekeeping thing here is the links for this session, as well as the slides, are all at this one link, bit.ly/cooltools2020, which I also tweeted out. If you want to find it that way, you can go to my Twitter account @JeremyKaplan with a C, or you can use the QR code on the screen if that's easier for you. So there's lots of ways to get to the sites and the slides that are all in this one CODA document. And I will move on now to the CODA document itself. And I know that some of you in the past have gone to these kinds of conferences and said, well, my head explodes. There's so much stuff. There's so many different links. There's 50 links. There's 50 different tools. There's 50 different things. And I want to echo something that Shri said, which is, I think really picking one project for yourself that can come out of this is really a great takeaway. So if there's one tool that you can use for something that you're working on or you're going to start, there's one project that you can develop out of what you learn either in this session or throughout the day, I think that'll be a great result. So the first tool here that I'm going to mention is, as I said a moment ago, oops, pop back up here, okay, is CODA. And Coda is basically like Google Docs on steroids. It is a document editor and creator and publisher that allows you to not just create any old document, but create a document with embedded videos, with embedded polls, with embedded sheets and tables and images and GIFs, and just about anything you can think of. It also allows you to interact with other people in the document, voting for things, suggesting things, comparing things. And then once you've created this powerful document, you can publish it to the world and other people can enjoy it. And that's what I've done, in fact, with today's document, which is right over here, is a live document. Now, this is editable. So one thing I want to mention is that there are times where people will delete things from an editable document. But I think with a social media crowd here, I'm going to count on your reliability, responsibility, and caution. And so hopefully people won't delete things. What I do encourage you to do, though, is to engage with these sandbox interactions. That's on the second tab. So you can add a question here, and you can vote for a tool that you like as we progress. You can share how you're feeling today with a sentiment tracker. You can also suggest a topic for another talk. And you can click a button to add those. So that's a nice feature of Coda, is that it has these buttons that you can click to interact with. You can also click on the voting buttons. It's really quite flexible, quite robust. You can do things very, very quickly. I encourage you to play with this tab. You can add to this tab. You can vote on this tab. Don't worry, this is made for interaction. So I encourage you to play with the sandbox tab. Just so you know what's in here, I have some examples of each of these tools here. At the end, we're going to do some hands-on components. That'll be in the Your Creations tab. And then I have a survey for those of you who want to get some bonus material. You can share some brief input at the end if you share your email address with me. So this is the document, and you'll see the list of sites. And at the bottom down here, you'll see the slides as well if you want to return to those. So that's what a Coda document looks like. Let me show you some other Coda documents that I've created. This is one that I created about the Brahms piano quartets for a volunteer session. I lead a class on musicology, music appreciation for a senior center. And this document was one I used so that I could show at the presentation live videos and different excerpts. I could present different articles and share different resources about each of the pieces and share some additional resources, some additional links. And one thing I want to mention about Coda that I really like, this is actually a Google Doc. So if you do use Google Docs, you can actually embed them, or Google Presentations, or Google spreadsheets. You can embed them into a Coda doc. So it can be a nice supplement to tools you already use. And one thing, these are Wikipedia entries. So one thing that I want to mention is that this tab feature where you have different sections within the document, to me, is super useful. Because rather than just having a Google Doc, which I usually have, of 20 pages, just a laundry list of words and links, you've got a nicely sectioned out document that's easy to edit, easy to present, easy to edit, easy to collaborate on, etc. So that is Coda in a nutshell. It's useful, as I said, to collect everything on a topic, like the Brahms piano quartets, for example, or any work topic you might be focused on. I'm using it as well to refine ideas with my collaborators on a new program that we're launching at the Newmark J School, which is going to be an online-only program for people who are aiming to be armies of one, developing new newsletters, new podcasts, new entrepreneurial journalism projects from throughout New York and all over the world. And so in planning and developing that new program, I'm using a Coda doc to put together a project plan to gather potential teachers and instructors and contributors and partners and sponsors, and to basically develop that whole project plan. There's a timeline on it. There's a Gantt chart on it. There's all kinds of materials on that one Coda document. You can publish material quickly, like today's shared sandbox document, and you can develop a full project in a professional way. So it's got lots and lots of powerful uses. Now I'm just going to take a glance at the Q&A for a second. If anyone has posted any questions there, I'll also pause after the first few sites to take some open questions. And I see someone mentions they have their iPad as well. That's great. I didn't even ask about smartphone and iPad and laptop, but at least two is plenty. But I see that people are already interacting with this document. So that shows me that you're able to make that work. Let's move on to the next tool. So this is Airtable. And these are all basically new tools, by the way, for the productivity world in the last couple of years, and certainly since I last presented at Social Media Weekend. And the amazing thing about Airtable is it takes something really mundane, which is a boring old spreadsheet, which looks very dry and dull, and turns it into something visually engaging, visually appealing, something that can be persuasive, that can be enjoyable, which is not the kinds of words we often use when we're describing databases or data sets. And there's a lot of different kinds of views of the data. Once you put in some data, you can import a spreadsheet right from Google Spreadsheets, which makes it nice and easy, or Excel, or any other tool you use, or you can gather information from a form. So you can set up a form to fill this. One of the other terrific features about Airtable is you can use a block. That's sort of a bonus capability that it has to grab things from the web. So I use a block called Web Clipper to clip things from the web and enter them into the database, which can then include the picture of the thing as well as all kinds of information. So let me show you a couple examples. This is a column view, by the way, that you can have for the data. You can have a gallery view. Here's what the form view looks like when people are entering data directly into your form. Here's the grid view, which is a more traditional spreadsheet-like view, and then a calendar view if you have data that has dates associated with it. So here's an example of one of the things that I've created with this, which is to say, it's my favorite books during this period. I wanted to share with people my favorite books, and this was something where I could create it on a simple Airtable grid, basically, and then present it as a gallery, and people can filter it or sort it and find things that are relevant to them. So that's, to me, a nice way to use it for just personal collections. And let me show you what that looks like actually in the editing format. So this is actually now on the screen my favorite podcasts. And if we want to filter, we can add a filter and say, you know what, I just want podcasts that are about business, or I just want podcasts that are really feature stories. For example, I've been on a COVID and coronavirus exclusion diet. I'm not reading any news or any information. I know some people find that surprising or problematic, but that's been my way of coping because I was feeling some anxiety. So I might be looking for information that's free of coronavirus or free of COVID, and this might be a way I can filter out just the material that I'm looking for, and I can add multiple filters at the same time. And here's another example of a more kind of work-oriented database that I've created with Airtable. This is for the electives at the Newmark Graduate School of Journalism, and students now aren't going to have the benefit of going to a live in-person event because of what's happened. So instead, they can use this database and they can look at all different views that we've set up. So they can look at just the 1-credit courses in a grid view, or even a 1-credit course view that's more of a gallery where they can see the image of the different instructors. They can look at all of the courses that are just, let's say, visual journalism courses, or morning classes, or classes on a particular day of the week or in a particular department. They can look at classes by instructor or look at investigative classes. There's a lot of different views they can have, and they can also filter. So let's say someone's looking for a course that is a writing course, let's say, and they want a course that meets on, I don't know, on Thursday, and or maybe they want a writing course that has number of credits is 3 credits. They can find that as well. So there's a lot of different ways for people to use this and interact with it. And once you've created something, you can share a view. So you can create a public view of any individual view or of the whole table, and then it can be embedded or presented on a website. So if you go to bit.ly.com/podcastfaves, for example, that's a public link for this Airtable that I've created. And I can update it anytime from my table here, and it will be updated automatically on this web version. Or I can embed this onto my website, for example. I was thinking of doing that in case anyone's interested. So that's a little bit about Airtable, which I find to be a really great tool. If you told me that I was going to recommend a database tool for visuals a couple of years ago, I would have said that's surprising. But now that I've been using it, I find so many ways to make it helpful and visual, and it's really been one of my favorites. I'm going to move on. I'll stop after the next site for some questions in case there's questions or anything you're wondering about. This one is called PopPic. This is a mobile tool, and it's nice and easy. It's completely free for iPhone only, not for Android yet. And it allows you to see your pictures in 3D. Now, you don't even have to take pictures with this app, which is something I love. You can take pictures with your existing camera if you have an iPhone from the last few years, and it will automatically add this kind of 3D effect. And the first time I used it, I was really surprised. It was so effective, so easy. You can change the degree of blur in the background. You can add effects and filters to emphasize the depth effect. And you can save or export as a video and create GIFs out of these. There's really a lot of different cool uses. And I just find it to be really fun, easy way to make pictures a little bit more interesting, which is always a great thing for social media, whether you're using Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever platform of choice, Snapchat, if anyone out there is still using that. And the really cool thing is it works on all different kinds of photos. So you can see it working on photos of people, but also of objects. As I said, you can adjust the blur level, which is for those photographers out there, the aperture. You can add depth effects to make it look like there's fog in the background, or to highlight, add a spotlight to the center. You can make it the 3D version shareable. There's some of the advanced features are premium only, but most of the features are free. The next tool I want to recommend is called Mojo. This is another mobile app, and it's also free. It's freemium. So the free version is actually quite robust, and it has lots of cool templates. It's really professional looking in my experience, in my view. And it basically allows you to create Instagram stories or Facebook stories or Twitter videos or Facebook videos or YouTube videos or whatever you want to create a video for, or a GIF. And you can use the existing templates, which are quite elegant, quite professional. You can also do special text effects. It has a library of amazing text motion graphics. And you choose the images you want to replace the default images. You edit the text to replace the default text. And you can add additional images or additional videos, and you export. It's a round-trip 5-minute process if you have a video in mind, if you have video clips in mind or photos in mind. That's often the hard part, is choosing those. But once you've chosen those, just a 5-minute or 3-minute process, and it's a really powerful, professional-looking tool. I know a lot of social media managers who use it. No one knows they're using it because it just looks like they're using Premiere or Final Cut Pro, but they're using this simple phone-based tool. There is a premium plan for $40 a year, or you can use the free version just fine. This, for anyone out there who's interested, is by some of the same team that made Legend and Quick, Q-U-I-K, tools that I've recommended in past years. This team is back with this new app. They're a French team, and it's a fantastic tool. For those of you who still want to use Quick, Q-U-I-K, that's still out there. It's free. It's now owned by GoPro, and it's a great way to create algorithmic video that's not necessarily vertical with any photos and videos you have in your camera roll. So that's a little bonus tool out there, an old classic is Q-U-I-K. So quick for a second, and then I'm going to step out and see if there are other questions to answer halfway through or 3/4 of the way through. What underrated tool do you like using? What's a tool that you find useful? And let me switch over the poll here to that one. so that you can answer that question if you have one. And I will take these answers after this is over and drop them into the shared document, the shared sandbox, as it were, after the session later on, so you can check back to see the recommendations that other people have shared if people respond to that. So again, to get back to this, you can point your camera at the QR code on the screen, or you can type in slido.com, SLIDO.com, and then it'll ask for an event code, and you can just type in cool tools, all one word, that you see on the screen. And this can be any tool. It could be a tool that you use for work. It could be a tool that you use for social media. It could be a tool that you use for your personal use or your professional use. It could be a mobile tool or a desktop tool. I'm seeing a bunch of them out there that are exciting. In here, you should be able to also add a reason why you use that tool. If you want to mention that, that might be helpful, so we have a little bit of additional context. Workflowy is a great tool that allows you to have pages in pages. That's a nice productivity kind of document tool. Canva is one of my favorites, an old classic for designing any kind of graphics, YouTube thumbnails, social media visual posts. Hipstamatic tool for photos. Lots of cool stuff coming in here. Even an Android video editing tool over here. Snapseed is a great photo editing tool owned by Google. Adobe Spark is a great suite, Spark Suite, for editing photos, sharing photos. Adobe Page, Spark Page is for creating little microsites, and Adobe Spark Video for creating micro videos. Those are great tools. I'll give just a little bit longer for people to add some now that people are gathering up. There's some momentum building on this tool adding moment here, so I'll let it flow for a little bit. Adobe Acrobat for PDFs, that's interesting. Trello, that's a great tool for productivity. It's a Kanban style column tool where you can organize projects, to-do lists, in the process of doing, already done, or you can have projects that are in draft mode, in conception mode, in planning mode, in doing mode, in editing mode, production mode. I sometimes use it for different days of the week, different activities or projects, different classes or teams that you're part of. Lots of stuff. Story art, that's a new one. I'm gonna look up that one later. Zero is another new one. I'm curious what that is about. Excel, an oldie but a classic, still works. One thing I like about Excel and Google Sheets is that the same shortcuts work in both, so you don't have to relearn all the shortcuts for spreadsheets, which is great. Wave to make audiograms. Oh, that's a really a nice one to know about. Thank you for that one. And let's see if we've got one or two more. And then HypeType, yes, HypeType is great for text on photos for social sharing. And iMovie, yep, oldie but goodie. I actually like Apple Clips, which is Apple's newest video editing tool. It's really underknown. Sri mentioned that people don't know that Apple has a built-in QR code reader. Many people don't know that Apple has Apple Clips, a terrific editing tool that actually will put the text on your screen for you. So let me pop out here to, they're going to keep coming in. I'm going to stop sharing for a second and pop out here for some Q&A and then go through some of the next tools in a couple minutes.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Start by just telling me what Apple Clips. I've never heard of it. So tell me what that.
Yeah. So Apple Clips is a video editing tool that has a little bit of a different kind of interface from iMovie or other nonlinear digital video editors. And it allows you to basically talk into the screen. So you can do kind of voiceover for some images, a slideshow, and narrate through a slideshow or a series of images or videos. And it has some additional features, like it'll actually allow you to create a 360 view behind you. So you can set up a city behind you, or like kind of a green screen effect, even if you don't have a green screen.
So is it
and then it will also transcribe the words.
Is it
it's an app for the phone.
And
yep, it's a
free
phone
or
only.
Expensive?
It's free. It's completely comes with
this is the problem, Jeremy, that there are so many good tools, and most of the ones you mentioned I'd heard of, but many of them I've not tried. And here's a perfect example that Apple has great things that it doesn't do. So the lesson for everybody who missed it in the morning: marketing matters, right? Or you have to get your work out there. Not enough to do just great work. You have to tell people And that's what a lot of today is about. Thank you so much, Jeremy. So many great things coming, lots of questions. Is there a good video tool for Android? I saw in reference to something called Action Director.
Yeah, there are a couple of them. The name of one that I'm thinking of is eluding me at the moment, but I will add it.
We want to keep this going, so yeah, you can always jump back in. There was a comment, any free productivity apps for graduate students? Specifically, I guess any students would be fine.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of tools that have made themselves completely free or half price for educators and for students.
Nice.
So I encourage you to check out a lot of them. So for example, Whimsical, which I'm going to share in a moment, is a design tool that's completely free for students. Notion, which I didn't mention earlier, Notion.so, is kind of like Coda. It's a powered up Google Docs on steroids kind of organization and document tool. That's also completely free for educators and students. Airtable is 50% off for educators and students. Coda is 80% off for educators and students. So a lot of these tools are offering really great deals for Milanote, which is a kind of mood board style, like private Pinterest. It's really elegant. That's 50% off for students and educators. So there's a lot of really great deals.
Do you know if anybody offers some pricing for?
Yes, most of those. Yes, that's a great question. And most of those that I just mentioned, they group educators and nonprofits together. So most of those that I mentioned, the discounts are either similar or exactly the same for nonprofits.
And that was a question from Therese, who's been a great supporter of everything we do. I also want to say that there is great interaction in the chat where people are answering some of these questions. And I hope, Jeremy, if you have a few minutes later on in the day, you'll just jump in and talk to folks. I know they'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. In the Facebook chat.
Yeah, and yeah, let's see how much time. Neil, do you want to give us a time check and where we are so that Jeremy knows as well? We have 5 minutes, so we're gonna just let's see if we can get some more in.
Is that before the deep dive or is that total? Because I wasn't sure.
Before the deep dive, yeah. So before the deep dive.
Okay.
And Jeremy, your audio is great instead of the usual echoey laptop mic sound. What sort of mic are you using?
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that because I actually just switched. This is the Sony Fancy Schmancy WH-M whatever 3003. It's the expensive noise canceling headphones that I use because I commute on the New York City subway, or I used to until this. So many of you know how loud the subway is, and this actually allows me to think and listen to music or podcasts. So yeah, it's a Sony noise canceling headset. I'm glad to hear that you can hear it.
Thank you. Notion, is it Notion?
Yeah, Casey asks about. It's Notion.so, which is I know it's an unusual thing. Yeah, it's Notion.so.
Yeah, people are talking.
I would say that's one of the fastest growing popular tools.
Sorry, you got something really started there with Apple Clips. Where can we get a list of
Billy asked
tools? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I created this sandbox and this site, this Coda site, bit.ly/cooltools2020, is to be able to share with you all your own contributions back to the group. So on the document, as soon as I have a chance and we're moving on from this session, I will go back through that and post to maybe a new tab on that Coda doc where you'll see the group contributions.
Jeremy, somebody just tweeted, always thankful for Jeremy Kaplan and his post. So thank you, Jeremy. I mean, just
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great. And if you like what he's teaching here, check out the Newmark School. They have lots of great classes at the graduate school at CUNY. So check that out. Let's see. Let's get with more questions. We'll ask our production team to throw more questions in. How are you feeling, Jeremy? You okay?
Great. Feeling good. Yeah, I'm excited to be talking about something other than a virus or isolation.
Look at this. Rose Horowitz says, my daughter is a speech pathologist and she's going to start teaching online this week. I'll have to share some of these sites. Thank you, Jeremy. And that brings me to an important point. Most professors who had never taught online had 2 days to learn how to do it. And most students who had never done any learning online had 2 days or less to do that. And so what are your tips for those still watching, still worried about this because they're coming back from spring break? Very quick tip, and then we'll get back to your...
Yeah, my second grade daughter, who goes to the same school that yours do, is back in school online as a second grader. So that's been a shocking experience for her, for many other kids, and for many teachers. My job these days is to help our teaching faculty and instructors transition. So that's really hard. I'm actually going to do a free webinar about that for teachers around the country.
Nice. Please let us know. Please tag SM Weekend so everybody can see it.
Yep. Yeah. So low-cost sources for image. So Unsplash is the #1 I would recommend. Unsplash.com, and it basically allows you to create anything out of shared Creative Commons licensed. Actually, they're not even Creative Commons licensed. Just completely free images you can use for any commercial or non-commercial purposes. So Unsplash is a tool I'd recommend. And I guess I can hop right back into the sharing if we're good and
yeah, just a reminder to everybody, it's about 12:15 Eastern, and at 12:30 we're going to take a half-hour break and give everybody a chance to relax, including our team, and we'll continue after that. We'll be back at 1 p.m. after the 12:30 break. Thanks.
Great. So here are some questions there, and we addressed those, so I'm going to move on to the next set of sites. And Otter.ai is one I love. It is a transcription tool. So it takes audio material and turns it into text. I've used it in particular this week, and this is what I want to highlight now for this moment in time. I've had various meetings on Zoom and Google Hangouts, as I'm sure many of you have had, and I've used Otter basically to channel the mic, whatever's coming into my computer, through Otter with the permission of people in the meeting, and generated a live transcription record of that meeting. Now, it's a gist transcription. I want to say that carefully because it's not a professional word-by-word perfect publishable record of every word exactly, but it's free for 600 minutes a month, which is a significant amount. It's usually more than enough for me. And the transcription can then be shared. So you can create a link with it and share it, as I did with meetings this week, so that everyone has a transcription of the meeting. And the value of that, some people say, well, why do you need a transcription? Well, one of the meetings was almost 2 hours, for example, and various people were presenting. So with this transcription in hand, we can scan through and just look at the section where this person presented, or that person presented, rather than having to listen to a 2-hour recording or to go through and sort of try to remember everything that was said. So Otter.ai works on the phone, it works on the web, it's very easy to use. You can edit the transcription afterwards, and I found it to be a super useful, super easy to use tool. I highly recommend it. And I've done a deep dive into transcription tools, and this was the one that I found to be the most effective. The next tool I use all the time is called Tilda. This is for creating websites. It makes the process of creating a website easy if you don't know how to code and you're not a professional designer, which is like someone like me. And you can change the text from the default. You can change the image from the default. You can see that on screen right now. You can then add a different block, add a video block, drag in a different element on the page. You can publish, and you hide certain sections until they're ready. It's really powerful. It's free for use, for initial use. If you want some of the more advanced blocks, you have to pay for that. If you want your own domain, you have to pay for that. It becomes akin to a tool like Squarespace. But I find the templates a little bit more elegant, in my personal view, than the Squarespace templates. And I like the usability and the ease of use for creating really nice designs. And I favor this over things like Wix or Weebly. And it's just a quite powerful tool for anyone creating a microsite. So even for an individual event. In fact, there's even a template just for webinars or for web-based conferences. So there's a lot of different kinds of creative uses of it. You can use it as your personal landing page or for a new creative project. I'm actually creating a new project inspired by this idea about creating a project during this crisis, which I'm really excited about, which is about books for kids called Story Crunch. And I'll be using Tilda to build that. The next tool I want to jump into is called Whimsical. I love this name. And it's for creating flowcharts. It's for creating basically wireframes. It's for creating mind maps, for creating anything visual where you're connecting different ideas in a super intuitive, easy way. You can publish them, you can share them, you can collaborate on them. Free for educators and students, and I think for nonprofits. I'm not sure about that. And I really just love the usability of this tool. And I will just take 30 seconds on this one. I just want to give you a chance, because we're kind of running a little bit low on time. I want to give you a chance to weigh in on this. And the idea here is to think about what kind of event you might use. I'm just opening up the poll here. That's why you see me looking over here. Which kind of opportunity might you have to create a graphic or a new visual? And this is really for yourself, so you can jot this down on a piece of paper if you want, make a mental note of it, or you can share it with us. I'll leave the poll open after I move on to the next slide, so you can continue answering if you want. But I just want you to get thinking about, now that you have all these tools in your toolkit, maybe it's just to create an Instagram project this week, or maybe it's to try something out for a work-related project or document you're creating with colleagues. Or maybe it's something you want to share with your family, just to test something out and try to do something in a new way. Or maybe it's to improve on your brand and your personal branding and your social brand. So I'm going to move on from this, just so we have time. A lot of us are at home sitting in front of a computer, I know, and so I think it's nice to have a creative outlet. And one thing that we often are needing to do these days is to create a form and gather information from colleagues, from students, from employees, from clients, whoever it is. And we've all filled out a million Google Forms in our day. We've probably filled out a lot of other different kinds of forms that are sometimes less than elegant. And what I love about Typeform is that it's super elegant, and it allows you to create really nice things. Let me show you actually something that I created with my daughter. Something called a postcard project. And we created this with Typeform so we could mail postcards to people around the world and exchange postcards. And we created it with Typeform. A simple Typeform page, it turned into a little microsite. So it's just an example of the elegance of design. The other thing I want to show you is that if you use Typeform now, you can actually create your own little bot. So I'm adding a little avatar here, and now I've converted a poll I created in Typeform into a bot conversation. So rather than sending people to a poll, you can send them to a chat. So if I click Let's Go here, you're going to see me talking to you, the person, in this case, a student, getting started with the course, and I'm asking them, what would you like to be called? What's your name, or what nickname would you prefer? And then I can interact with this just as I would with a poll or form, and then it'll continue the conversation. So this is a new tool, brand new tool called Conversations that takes a form and turns it into something really nice and interactive. And I find that to be a brand new way to engage people with information. And I think I'll skip this video for now for time's sake, but if you go to Typeform on YouTube, you'll see a really elegant video, and I'll actually have shared this. I'll share this in the Coda sandbox. It shows how many different kinds of ways you can use Typeform. The last two tools I want to share with you, this one is called Data GIF Maker. This is a Google tool, and it allows you to create a quick GIF out of any little bit of data. So the thing about data, oftentimes it's so complicated, overwhelming. You see a huge spreadsheet, or you try to share with people a huge amount of information, and it's overwhelming. In this case, I just wanted to share a quick post, social post, about music subscribers and the fact that Spotify had now reached double the number of paid subscribers as Apple Music, 124 million versus 60 million for Apple. And Amazon was gaining on Apple, 55 million to 60 million. So rather than just putting those numbers in or putting in a huge spreadsheet or whatever, you could create a quick data GIF, which is a whole new breed of GIFs, using this Google Data GIF Maker. It's completely free, takes a minute, the menu is super easy, you can do it on your phone or your laptop. Here's another example. This is called a racetrack style graphic, and it basically shows you, in this case, that in Sweden, 25% of people pay for online news, as compared with just 9% in Austria. So it's a way to visualize that piece of data and to show us that the Swedes are doing their part for the future of digital news and information and sustainability of media. And it shows it in a little bit of a creative way. And there's one more type of data GIF that you can create, which is called a rectangle chart. And that allows you to show something like this, which shows you in the German market, for example, what percentage of people pay for news. 92% don't pay for news versus 9% that do. And you can download them, you can send people to a link, etc. And I'm just doing a quick time check here. And then the last one I'm going to share with you is the Namecheap Logo Creator. And this allows you to create a logo for anything. And a lot of people assume a logo has to be for a company. Actually, a logo can be for a project. It can be for a meeting or conference or an event or anything you're doing, even for a document. So this allows you to very easily and simply put in something into a document, a name, choose a color scheme, choose some icons, and then you look at all these different options you get. And you can download them completely for free and use them in whatever way you want. And all of that happens in a matter of a couple of minutes. So if I go over here, you'll see that I already have opened up this tab, and I can just pop in here and go create a new logo, and I can go Story Crunch, and I can say it's a books related site, and I can choose a bunch of different font styles. I'm going to do this super quickly, and you can do one of these on your own and drop it into your creations. I'm going to choose a purple, and I'm going to say Stellar Books for Curious Kids. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm working on. New website to find cool books for kids. And I'm going to, I like that icon. I'm going to find a book icon that I like. I like that sort of open. And I like something with curiosity. And that's kind of fun. I like this. And I can keep choosing, but I'm going to just quickly continue these 3 icons. And now already, here I go. I've got some logos to choose from. Some of them you'll see have the text. Some of them don't have the subtext. Some of them have given me different examples with different, did I lose those here? And anyway, you saw that basically I've got a lot of different options there. I just closed out of that in my hurry. Oh, here we go. So these are some that we've done in the past, just to give you some examples. So it's super easy. It's free. You might ask, why is it free? Well, it's functioning as essentially content marketing. So they want you to create a domain or whatever with Namecheap, but I don't necessarily do that or recommend that necessarily. I just like the logo creator, which is completely free. So we're all behind our own computers. I hope that you'll have a chance to actually dive in and create some things with these tools. If you're interested in doing that, I welcome seeing what you do. If you want some bonus tools, I've got some bonus ones I didn't mention today. I didn't get a chance to get to, and I'd be happy to share those with you if you send me fill in the form, which is at the Coda link, which is right here on the screen. And there's a tab for the Typeform. You can fill that out, give me your input with your email address, and I will share with you those bonus materials in the next couple of days. So I hope you'll have a chance to do that if that's of interest to you. You can continue adding your questions. I will try to put in some answers and your other materials into that shared doc as promised earlier. And I welcome your email. I welcome your comments, your tweets. If you follow me, I'll be sharing some additional bonus links later today on Twitter, so you can follow me at Jeremy Kaplan. You can email me anytime you want. I publish my email here so that you can reach out and say, hey, I'd like to work with you on something, or have an idea for something, or here's something you could improve upon, or whatever you want to do. I'm open to hearing from you. That QR code will lead you back to our site for the day. And yeah, I just encourage everyone to use their creativity and create things. That's my call to action, is create something this week. It could be something big, it could be something small, whatever suits your fancy. I'm going to stop sharing here now and open up for any final questions, and then we'll be ready for a break, and everyone can stretch. And
Jeremy, look at this. Renee Edelman says, the weekend is a miracle because of you and this content that you're sharing. Vikas in London says, what an awesome session. 162 people are watching at this moment. You know how hard it is to get 20 people in a room for a physical event. And we're seeing the power of this online collaboration. Thanks, Jeremy. Dazzling as usual, says Patricia Kitchen, at Patricia Kitchen.
Thank you. Thanks, Patricia.
Great. Damakan says, thanks, Jeremy. Awesome. I hope you're feeling the love, Jeremy. And
yes,
one of the lessons here, Jeremy, that we don't always have to do 60 tools or 40 tools, right?
Right.
10 tools also works. And a message to everybody who's watching who's feeling overwhelmed, just be calm. You don't have to have gotten everything right away. The idea was, the most important thing was that URL that you shared, right? And people took a photograph of it, and they have it, and now they can work on it and learn on their own. The point of these online sessions, not just this today, but every workshop, everything you go to, is to know where to go. And I think that's what you've done so well. And there's that URL. Everybody take out your phone. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to take out my phone and just take a picture of it, so I will have that. And feel free to share it, right? Jeremy wants to give that away, and he's done a fabulous job of that. Valerie says, learned so much. Brilliant. Thanks, Jeremy. I needed this. Great tool, says Arun, watching in California under lockdown. Thank you, Jeremy, is all I can say. Very, very grateful to you. I want to show you and everybody else. I'm just going to share my screen here a second and go and show how we're doing with folks going online and tweeting, because we've been doing very, very well. We've had 6 million impressions of our tweets. 259 people are tweeting. There are only 160 in the room at the minute, but 259 people are tweeting. Look at some of the words that have been tweeted. Desktop versus mobile. So still a lot of people tweeting on mobile, even though they're at home. Here are the top sources. This is a tool that I've been using to track all this. I'm also going to go in and see our top lists. We see 85 separate tweets about you, Jeremy. That's awesome. Most tweets, Nick Kristoff has tweeted. Look at his reach, of course. And we've got David Beard tweeting on SM Weekend. I hope all of you are following SWMKND, at SWMKND. That's the Twitter handle for Social Media Weekend. And we've got Dave Beard, one of the best in the world, is on there right now. Let's see who else is tweeting a lot. Jamie Shum, 51. Rose Horowitz, 30. Deb, 29. Stefan, 28. Guys, you've got a chance to catch up. I hear there may be a prize for the person with the most tweets at the end, and some good quality tweets. So look at all these tweets coming in. I've only tweeted 11 times, but so many other people are tweeting. Here's just some of the media posts that have been posted. If this was at pace in person, Jeremy, there'd be a lot more going on, of course, with photos and things like that. And look at the peak as people are posting here, and a transcript of all the tweets here. We'll share this report so everybody has it, so you can look at it in real time. Jeremy, any thoughts before we let you go?
No, I just want to thank you and Linda and Neil and everyone who's Andrew has participated in sort of making this happen in such a short, and everyone participating. A lot of sessions, it's easy for people to just sit back and just be on their couch, and everyone today is adding and sharing and thinking and tweeting, and it makes it more engaging and more interactive for everyone. So
yeah, my friend Shilpa,
I'm excited.
Thank you. My friend Shilpa says, so glad I signed up, and that means the world to me, Shilpa, and everybody else who's saying great things. One of our guests says, has inspired me to go back on Twitter after a long hiatus. Lots of O's. Thank you, Jeremy. These resources.
Yeah, I haven't tweeted for this whole week, so this was my first welcome back into humanity, as it were. And seeing everyone is helpful and reassuring.
Thank you, and please say hello to our friends at the Newmark School, the Dean Sarah Bartlett, and the entire team there. They've been so kind to Social Media Weekend and to me personally, so I'm very, very grateful. It's time for a break. Neil, why don't you come on in and tell us what we're about to do and where we're going. And Jeremy, goodbye. See you in the various groups, and love to your family.
Sounds good. Thank you. Likewise, Sri. Good to see you. Thanks.
All right, Neil's going to come on and take us out.
Thank you, Sri. What a great session, Jeremy. Thank you so much. Those were incredible tools, and that's one of the benefits of doing this online. It's a little bit easier. You'll be able to watch the presentation